That night, the sky was screaming with thunder, and so was my wife. The ambulance was minutes away, until someone made sure it would never reach us. When I ran outside and saw the bridge, our only way out, buried under trash and concrete, I realized this wasn't bad luck. This was the HOA, and they wanted to break more than just my bridge. Moments like this remind us how fragile life can be, and how dangerous it is when power forgets humanity. So before we begin, drop your country or city name in the comments. I want to see how far this story travels. And if you believe no HOA, no title, and no power should ever stand between a family and their safety, hit that like button and subscribe. Because this channel stands for truth over power, and for people who refuse to be silenced. They say peace is priceless. For me, that peace lived in Hale Acres, my little farm tucked away past the river. I'm John Hale, third-generation farmer. This land isn't just soil and crops, it's the sound of roosters at dawn, the hum of cicadas at night, and a bridge that connects us to the world. It's where my grandfather once walked, and where I learned that life is earned with dirt under your nails and sweat on your brow. My wife, Mallory, was 38 weeks pregnant. She glowed like the sun itself, radiant, exhausted, and so full of life that just being near her made everything feel sacred. The farm demanded attention, yes, but it bent around her. Every hour, I checked on her. Every chore I did with her comfort in mind. The bridge, sturdy, wooden, my pride, was more than planks and nails. It was our lifeline. Every day, I'd sand its rails, replace worn planks, reinforce it for storms. It connected us to town, to emergency help, to the outside world. And that bridge, like our life, felt untouchable. Across the river lay Riverglen, neat lawns, modern homes, and a homeowners association that believed it could control the world beyond its borders. At first, they were distant. Then, Karen Summers showed up, designer sunglasses, a clipboard, the type of smile that didn't reach her eyes. That smile whispered trouble before she even spoke. And I knew, somehow, that this was where peace ended. That Monday morning started like any other, sun spilling over the fields, roosters crowing, and coffee steaming in my chipped mug. I was checking the barn roof when I noticed it, a white SUV creeping down the gravel road. Even from a distance, I knew by the way it hugged the center of the path that it was her, Karen Summers. She stepped out in a beige pantsuit, clipboard in hand, looking wildly out of place among mud, manure, and my half-dismantled pickup. She had 2 board members with her, like she was leading a suburban militia. "Mr. Hale," she started, smile fixed, eyes sharp, "we need to speak about your bridge." I wiped my hands on my jeans. "Karen, your bridge isn't on my land, it's mine. And the river hasn't flowed properly since 2011. Your kayaks and paddleboards can go around it." One of her flunkies muttered something about raising it or removing it entirely within days. I laughed dryly. "Absolutely not. My wife's due any day, I've got crops and livestock to manage. We can talk in a few weeks. Not before." Karen's eyes narrowed behind designer sunglasses. "This isn't a suggestion. The HOA won't tolerate delays." I crossed my arms. "Then the HOA can float their kayaks somewhere else." With that, she turned and clicked away on her heels, leaving the gravel vibrating under her steps, her board members trailing silently. I watched them go, a knot in my stomach settling not from fear, but that old, familiar sense that something was about to go real sideways. The next morning, nothing felt normal. Coffee in hand, I was scanning the barn when my eyes caught the white SUV again. Karen. Always Karen. She stepped out this time in a beige pantsuit swapped for a more formal look, clipboard still clutched like a weapon. "We've issued a formal notice regarding the obstruction," she said, handing me a paper-stamped River Glen Homeowners Association Environmental Compliance Directive. I laughed under my breath. 50 years this bridge had stood. The river had never flowed properly. And yet here she was, acting like the ultimate arbiter of progress. "My wife's due any day," I reminded her. "I have a farm to run. You'll have to wait." Her eyes narrowed, voice low. You're standing in the way of progress. You have no idea how important this project is. And that's when I heard it, in the town feed, whispers about private docks, kayak launches, even boutique cafes. Investors lined up. This wasn't community improvement. This was money. That evening, while tightening bolts on the barn, I heard voices from across the river. Karen and a tall man, likely Craig Mills, HOA treasurer, arguing about returns and deadlines. She snapped at him, but he's stonewalling us. And suddenly, it clicked. Someone stood to profit from tearing down my bridge. Saturday morning should have been slow and peaceful. But peace doesn't last when you live next to a storm named Karen. Molly had complained of back pain the night before. Normal pregnancy strain, we thought. I barely slept, part nerves, part that gnawing feeling something was about to go wrong. Just after 8, I walked in with a tray of toast and herbal tea. Her face was pale, hands trembling. "I think I need help," she whispered. My heart skipped. "What's wrong?" "It's the baby, and I feel dizzy," she gasped. I called 911 immediately. Dispatcher asked for our location. I gave it, Hale Acres Farm, pregnant woman, full term. ETA, 50 minutes. Normally, no problem. I'd toss her in the truck, tear down the gravel road, get her to the clinic. But fate has a twisted sense of humor. That very morning, the pickup decided to die, starter dead, no backup. And then the call came, "We're at the bridge entrance. Can't proceed. Pile of debris blocking the way." My stomach dropped. The bridge. The only route. Garbage. Someone had dumped a mountain of it, bags, furniture scraps, broken kayak with a Riverglen HOA sticker. I grabbed Molly, lifted her into my arms, and ran. Half a mile of mud and gravel, lungs burning, adrenaline surging. Paramedics met us halfway, cutting through the edges of the debris. They laid her on the stretcher. We climbed over the rest like prisoners escaping. Sirens roared. We were moving. And when Eli finally arrived, just before sundown, 7 pounds 9 ounces, full head of dark hair, I cried. Not just for the baby, but for the chaos we survived, the bridge, the garbage, the woman in a pantsuit who thought she could control life itself. 2 days after Eli was born, I finally had a moment to breathe. But that peace was short-lived. Driving back from the pharmacy, I took the long route. And there it was, the bridge buried under a grotesque heap of trash, decomposing in the sun, raccoons scavenging. I stepped out, gloves on, camera ready. Then I saw the giveaway, trash bags marked with Riverglen HOA Waste Day. Not random. Deliberate. I started documenting everything, photographs, videos, timestamps, lists of debris. Broken kayaks, fence panels, planters, even receipts from Glen Waste Services. Someone had been paid to do this. I called the sheriff, gave them every detail. Deputy Ray, a man who'd seen too many disputes but not enough justice, came by. We reviewed surveillance footage, a large truck creeping across the bridge at 2 a.m., headlights off, Glen Waste Services logo on the side. That was enough to escalate the investigation. But I wanted more. I called Mitch, an old friend at the county records office. Together, we dug into permits, filings, and company registrations. Summer Properties LLC, Karen Summers and Craig Mills, registered just 2 months ago. Investors, private profits, not community projects. I compiled everything, photos, invoices, HOA letters, LLC documents. Deputy Ray took one look, muttered, "Damn HOA again." By that afternoon, the pieces were falling into place. Karen had tried to weaponize bureaucracy, and now we had proof. Courtrooms always look bigger on TV. In reality, linoleum floors, buzzing fluorescent lights, and a judge who looked like he'd rather be fishing. But none of that mattered. Karen sat stiff as plywood, dull blazer, sunglasses off, her mask slipping. Craig Mills beside his lawyer, sweating like he was playing poker with his soul. My lawyer, Beth Holloway, had prepared like we were going for a high-profile takedown. The prosecution opened with the ambulance dash cam. The room fell silent as footage played, headlights bouncing over gravel, then the 5-foot mountain of garbage blocking the bridge. One EMT's voice on audio, "There's no way through. We need to reroute." Next came my 911 call. My voice shaky but firm, "My wife is in distress. We need help. Hale Acres. It's urgent." Then, the paper trail. Glen Waste invoices paid by Karen, internal emails referencing clearing obstacles, and Summer Properties LLC documents tying Karen and Craig to the private project. Craig's lawyer tried claiming he was a passive investor. Beth countered with a co-signed internal memo approving waste relocation. Silence. Karen's attorney leaned into overzealous community leader. Judge didn't buy it. 2 days later, the verdict: Karen Summers, 9 months county jail, community service, $37,000 personal fine. Craig Mills, probation, restitution, barred from financial roles and organizations for 5 years. HOA put under external oversight. Judge's closing words echoed, "This case is not just about environmental negligence or misappropriation of funds. It is about ego, entitlement, and the catastrophic consequences of putting profit over people. Mr. Hale's family suffered due to your arrogance. You weaponized bureaucracy. You gambled with lives." I didn't speak. I held my chest high, feeling justice delivered. Karen rushed out the back. Craig slinked away. Riverglen's residents began picking up the pieces. And for the first time in months, I could breathe. After the verdict, peace returned to Hale Acres, the kind of quiet that smells like hay, wood smoke, and home-cooked meals. Mollyrie was healing well. Eli was discovering his lungs, his tiny feet, and the art of waking me up every 2 hours. Exhausting. Beautiful. The old bridge, our lifeline, was finally reinforced. Steel beams, new timber, motion sensor lights, a keypad-controlled gate. I named it myself, Karen Blocker 3000. Delivery guy laughed. Hell of a reason, I told him. Riverglen began picking up the pieces. HOA temporarily dissolved. A new property management firm took over oversight. Some residents even came by the farm, bringing apology letters and fruit baskets. I accepted them, but kept my guard up. One glance at that bridge, and anyone thinking of dumping garbage here again would know I meant business. Life returned to normal, in the only way that matters: family, land, and freedom. Mornings of golden sunlight, evenings of fireflies and warm cider, nights with Eli in my arms. The bridge wasn't just steel and timber anymore. It was a symbol, standing your ground quietly, fiercely, without blinking, even when the world insists you fold. And for the first time in months, I could breathe. Peace, finally, felt like gold.